Welcome back, everyone. In honor of Avengers Campus opening over at Disneyland, we're going to be going through some of the best scenes from the Avengers movies so far. And be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for even more Disney fun each week. All right, so the first scene is Loki stealing the Tesseract from the original Avengers. And why I love this scene so much is it opens the movie, the Avengers movies, like the first team up we have in the MCU, and it really just sets the tone for the entire movie, and it's just kind of this great culmination where you know, like, this is just gonna be something different. You know, Loki coming in, stealing the Tesseract, it just sets like a whole different tone for the entire movie.
It is a cool scene, and of course it has Loki in it, and Loki is not only the name of my dog, but also one of my favorite characters.
Right, and this really also establishes him as like the villain, because kind of in Thor, he's kind of the villain, but he's also kind of like the sidekick, and this kind of puts him front and center in the villain role. All right, so the next scene is also from Avengers, and also involves Loki. This is Hulk versus Loki, where Hulk calls Loki a puny god. This scene is just hilarious, and there's a lot of callbacks in future movies with this as well, but it's just so funny to see.
Loki comes in with so much bravado, and then Hulk just slams them into the ground repeatedly like a rag doll. So I'm pretty sure this was also in the trailer for the movie, and it was the scene that hyped me up to want to come see the movie. So yeah, this is a fantastic scene. All right, this next scene is the I'm Always Angry scene from the Avengers. It's the Hulk, and they tell Hulk to suit up all the Avengers because they have this crazy dragon creature that's coming after them, and he's not ready. He's still in his Bruce Banner form, and he just goes, I'm always angry, and just hulks out and then just stops the monster. It's just a really cool scene. I'm noticing very quickly that all of the Hulk scenes have a really good humor that runs like through them. So it's funny that the Hulk movies haven't been very successful on their own, but he is a fantastic addition to the Avengers.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, and this was his first movie as the Hulk as well, really brought a different angle to the character that I think really works, as like you said, some of the other movies in the past haven't. And this is the first time the Avengers are actually teaming up together against the Chitauri. It just adds a different level to Bruce Banner and the Hulk, where he's like, I'm always angry. It's not like I have to get angry, I just have to stop fighting it. And he immediately transforms instantaneously. And it's a perfect scene. And again, with the Avengers, like, you can see why it's so successful, because there's so many great scenes in it. All right, and now the next two scenes kind of go hand in hand. And the first one is the Mjolnir lifting contest and Avengers Age of Ultron. And this was just like a fun, playful scene with the Avengers sitting around. And I really liked it because it's kind of like, hey, what would a bunch of superheroes do if they're just kicking back, having fun? Of course they would try to lift up Mjolnir and see who is worthy. And, you know, Tony's trying to use the suit to lift up. He thinks it's a magic trick.
And he thinks it's a math problem too.
Exactly. Yeah, like it just makes so much sense. And then Cap does it, and it looks like the hammer may lift ever so slightly.
And Thor's face goes like, ooh, like he gets very, almost concerned, like, oh no, somebody else is worthy.
It's a beautiful parallel to then in Endgame when you find out Cap can actually wield Mjolnir, and then Thor says, I knew it, like I knew the whole time. It's a great callback that took, 8 years in the making to do, and then to see Cap finally wield Mjolnir, it's like when you're playing a video game and then you unlock some sort of cheat code and he can just start summoning lightning and everything. The two scenes are great, and they work better together than if it would have just been, Cap just wielding Mjolnir would have been great, but the fact that that callback to the earlier Avengers movie makes it all that much better.
I mean, the second scene is by far maybe my favorite of the whole entire list, because I remember in the theater as well, we went to see it and everyone cheered when Cap was able to actually wield Mjolnir. And also it came at a really key part in the fight because Thanos was actually winning. He was beating Thor up-handedly, and it was Cap that prevented him from probably finishing Thor off.
The next two scenes also have a similar parallel that I like. So it is from Avengers and Avengers Endgame, and it deals with the big three: Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. So when they first meet the Avengers, they're fighting in the forest. And that was just fun to see, because it's kind of like when you're a kid and you have your action figures and you just have your two action figures fighting each other, and you have Iron Man fighting Thor. And that was just neat to see. But then seeing them together, unified at the end against Thanos, they're kind of the big three there waiting for Thanos in Endgame. It is, again, just kind of a great parallel to see how they've gone from fighting to now they're this like unified team.
What I appreciate about these scenes is that it just shows a lot of character growth. That's one thing that's really wonderful about the fact that these movies all build on each other is that all of it is years and years in the making. You know, their friendships and their bonds are years in the making. And now you can see finally that they're bros, they are friends, they all have a very commonly aligned goal, and they recognize that. So I think that, you know, particularly the Endgame scene of them all working together is just perfect.
And before we move on to the next scene, let us know in the comments what your favorite scene out of all the Avengers movies are. Our next scene is actually the only one from Avengers Infinity War, and this is when Thor enters on the Bifrost in the battle for Wakanda. It is just an epic scene. The Avengers are kind of losing to the Outriders. They're starting to breach the force field. They need help. And then all of a sudden, that Bifrost lands. Thor comes out with Stormbreaker and just lays waste to all of them. It's hilarious hearing Bruce Banner like yelling, "You guys are so screwed now!" He just starts laughing because they know that Thor is so powerful, and it just really changes the tide of that battle. And it's also just an extremely epic scene. I absolutely love it.
The fact that he literally lights it up. You know, his eyes turn blue and the lightning goes everywhere. It's just so epic. And again, it's kind of like that other scene that we had in Endgame where the tide turns with this entrance. It makes it so epic. This next one is, again, I mean, it's so close to the top one for me. The I am Iron Man scene. Very, very end where everything looks lost. It looks like Thanos has won, and then Iron Man has actually made his own Infinity Gauntlet, and he says, "I am Iron Man," and he clenches his fist and completely just saves the day, and then of course dies after. And this whole scene, I mean, just goosebumps and tears. It's just so emotional and wonderful. It just, I'm literally getting goosebumps right now talking about it.
Yeah, and this is great because it also calls back to the original Iron Man, where he ends that movie by saying, "I am Iron Man." Now, that wasn't one of the Avengers movies, so that's why we didn't include any of those in the list, but it's so sentimental, and Iron Man really is the emotional kind of through line in a lot of these movies, and to have him make the sacrifice, and he knows he's gonna die, because he basically looks at Doctor Strange before this, and Doctor Strange kind of puts up his finger, telling him, this is the one time where we win, like, and he knows what he has to do, and he knows he's sacrificing this so that his daughter can live, and that everybody else can kind of live on and be safe, and so he's finally willing to make that sacrifice. And it just kind of plays off of that whole philosophical debate he and Cap have had of, are you willing to make the sacrifice? Are you willing to lead? Like, what it means. And up until this point, Tony really is hidden behind that suit of armor, and he really wasn't necessarily willing to make that sacrifice. But when he does, it's just incredible.
The last scene that we're going to talk about is the portal scene where all of our heroes return. Again, they needed the reinforcements. The battle was not going very well, and then finally they get them, and it's just, again, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. Just remembering how everyone cheered in the theater and how exciting it was to see that, you know what, they are going to defeat Thanos, that everything is going to be okay, and that some of our favorite characters are back.
One, it's an incredible scene, just seeing all of the heroes coming to the battle, and it's just like this whole army, because Thanos is like, who's going to take me down? Like, you and what army, essentially? And they're like, hey, this army.
Yeah.
And
they needed reinforcements bad.
Right. And to your point, it's also so great because of the reaction being there live opening night. I mean, you know, Marvel kind of had a clip in it for their big kind of, you know, trailer send off of like, come back to the movies.
On your left.
It made it so much more magical because it was that shared experience. And then it ends with Cap finally saying, Avengers assemble. And that's when everybody just loses their mind completely, because we never got to see him say that full line before. You know, it was kind of cut off in the other movies where he would just say Avengers, and he finally says assemble, and he has Mjolnir there and the shield. It's just absolutely perfect. Endgame couldn't have had a better scene to end on. It's the top scene in the MCU, I think, so far, across all the Avengers movies, I think across all of the movies they've had. I mean, Marvel's going to have a hard time, I think, topping that one. I don't think they're going to try for a long time, but it is absolutely Perfect. All right, we hope you enjoyed this countdown of our favorite scenes from all the Avenger movies. If you're new to this channel, you can check out some of our other videos in this playlist right over here. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you here next time. Bye.